Martin, how are you, my friend? We'll get going in a minute. We're just waiting for some other people. But good to have you on, mate. We'll just wait for a few more. Here she is. Charlotte, how are you? Chloe, how are you? Few people joining in. Good to see you on here. We'll wait for a few more and then we shall get going. Hello. We shall get going in a minute. Wait for a few more. But feel free to fire away with some questions, and then once more people are on, I'll get them answered, and I'll make sure I save the video so other people can see it as well. Sean, hello, how are you? So yeah, if you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the comments box. I'll get through as many as I can. Like I said, I'll save the video as well, so other people can see it going forward. But thank you for those of you who have joined so far. I appreciate it. It is good to see you all on here and getting involved. So yeah, feel free to fire away with some questions. Once a few more people have joined as well, I've got a little update about Impactivity, some of the things we're going to be doing going forward. Chris, hello, mate. Good evening. Yeah, so some of the things that we're going to be doing going forward. Also, I'll be happy to announce my first podcast guest this evening. So that's really exciting. So stay tuned for that. But until then, like I said, fire away with some questions. And once a few more people are on, I'll be more than happy to answer them. So the big reveal this evening is my first podcast guest. So the podcast series is going to be called A Conversation With. It's going to look at all aspects of mental health, so not necessarily just from a sporting perspective. And my first guest is someone who is going to be, I think, very interesting to interview. So it's Sophie from Sophie's Stories. So she is a children's author. She's the author of the Stay at Home Superheroes that was released during lockdown as a way of celebrating our nurses, our doctors, and giving some people some support through that. She's also worked with the Samaritans, and she's a creative therapist with children and young people. So it'll be really interesting to see Sophie's perspective on mental health and what she says going forward. And it's going to be a really interesting podcast. So we record that on the 12th of November, and it should be released on the 12th or 13th. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Ben and Adam, welcome. Feel free, if you've just joined, to fire away with some questions in the comments box for the Q&A. If you have just joined, I've just announced my first podcast guest for A Conversation With, and that is going to be with Sophie from Sophie's Stories. So that will be getting recorded on the 12th of November, which is really cool, really exciting. Still on the lookout for more podcast guests as well. So if you are interested, or if you know of anyone who would like to be involved with the Impactivity podcast, let me know. And we can get you into that. Also, a new update as well. In the spring, we are definitely going to be going to Hadrian's Wall. It is going to be a 5-day trip. So as a group, you can either do the full 5-day trip, or you can jump on and off at different sections. So more details will be announced probably closer towards Christmas. So that's really exciting, and hopefully going forward as well, a women's mental health challenge as well. So I've got a question here from Chris. November this year. Thanks, mate. Putting me on the spot on live. Maybe not. I'm unsure, purely because I'll probably lose my job walking around with a mustache, mate. But if you give a huge donation to Impactivity, then yeah, I'm all about it, pal. All about it. Oh, you can even tell me the style if it's a big enough donation, mate. But yeah, so no, a few people like the rugby club and that are supporting Movember. Fantastic cause. So when that donation goes into my bank account, Chris, mate, 100%, the moustache will be whatever you want it to be. Yeah, so it's all good. But fantastic cause, and something that we should all be supporting anyway. So yeah, 100%. I feel I've got another question as well. So I've just got a question here. What kind of challenges have I got in mind for women? So I still want people to be active. I still want people to be getting involved with sport. So it will be based on what we've done with the men so far. So hikes and challenges like that. But I want everyone to be comfortable with the conversations they're having. So having like-minded people around them essentially is something that can put you in a zone where you feel like you're ready to talk and have conversations. So that is something I'm looking at going forward, creating a team where it can be delivered to women as well. Those hikes and challenges, I feel like it's something that will be great going forwards, because mental health doesn't just affect men, it affects everyone. And, you know, that's what I want to do. I want everyone to be helped, not just men. So that is something we're definitely working on, but they will be based around physical activity and team building, just like we have done with the men. So thank you for your question. I really appreciate that. And like, on that note, if you do have any ideas for challenges or you want to get involved with any of the challenges, feel free to direct message me after this live, and we can definitely sort something out. Or if you want any more information on what our workshops actually do and what I actually do at the workshops, I'd be more than happy to answer those questions. Or you can check out my email or website. So my email is Andy Ryley at impactivitytwl.com, and the website is www.impactivitytwl.com, and you can get a lot more information there. But yeah, so if you need any questions or you want to take part in any of our workshops or programs, just get in touch with me. I'm always available. Yeah, thank you. Excited to see the future challenges for women. Yeah, it's something that I've behind the scenes been working on, you know, really hard. I want to be as inclusive as possible. So it's something that is a work in progress. So if you have any ideas, or if you're a female or a woman watching this right now and there is something that you'd like to do or like to see, that you'd feel more comfortable in an environment with only women, feel free to private message me after this, and it's something I can look into and see if there is a demand for it. And it's definitely something I'd love to do going forward. 100%. 100%. So yeah, if you've got any more questions, feel free. And we'll just keep going back to the podcast. 12th of November is going to be that first episode. We're aiming to do 6 episodes in a series. So I'm still on the lookout for more guests. But essentially what it's going to look at is how the guest on the podcast deals with mental health in their day-to-day life. So it may be their job, it may be something in their career, what they're doing and how they challenge mental health. Also their experiences with their own mental health. It's really important to have those conversations, just like I did when I went on the Lily May Foundation podcast, the Still Parents podcast. It's something that we really want to encourage. So these people are coming on and sharing their experiences, basically. And they'll also be talking about how what helps them with their mental health and the benefits that they have, and hopefully open it up to a Q&A from guests. So before recording the first podcast on the 12th of November, I will be sending out Q&As that you can send in for Sophie to answer, and I'll fire away at them and hopefully get some good interaction. Next question. Any plans to deliver workshops to teenagers? I think any exposure to the potential challenges and stigmas in later life is beneficial, and keep up the great work. Thank you, mate. Yeah, so our workshops, we want them to be in all schools, so high schools and universities. We actually did some amazing work with Coventry University a few weeks ago, which was incredible. And yeah, it's something that myself as a teenager, I wish I had this form of support network. You know, a few of the boys who have been on our hikes and stuff like that, well, I'm sure they'll vouch that it's become a great thing when we were there. The rapport that everyone built was fantastic. And we want that to spread around the country, not just over a few people. And I think having role models that are in, normal day-to-day jobs and day-to-day life is a lot better than seeing, some stranger who they can't relate to. So yeah, the plan is to deliver in as many schools as possible, to get the message of it's being okay to not be okay, and making them aware of that and giving them the access to the right support networks, which is really important. So yeah, thank you for that question. It's definitely something that we are looking at doing going forward, getting into more schools. So hopefully going forward into 2022, it is something that we will do, get into more schools, universities and colleges. All right, thank you. Darren, Chris, Izzy, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining. If you've just joined, essentially what I've done, I've told everyone the first guest for the Impactivity podcast in a few weeks' time. So that is going to be Sophie from Sophie's Stories. She's an author, and she's worked with the Samaritans and some amazing organisations. So she will be joining us on the first podcast, which is being recorded on the 12th. We're also doing a Q&A this evening. So if you've got any questions about Impactivity, about me, feel free to drop them into the comment section or on the question section, and I'll answer them this evening. But yeah, so everything's been really exciting. We have been very busy. I'm working in a grammar school in the Midlands, coaching rugby as well. So we're growing and we're getting better. But that's one thing I would like to say this evening is thank you to all the people who are following me and have supported the company so far. The only way this place and this company is going to work is by everyone sharing the message. I can go and talk to everybody, but if we keep sharing it and keep it positive and keep reminding everyone about, removing that stigma around important conversations such as mental health, then we're all going to be on to a winner. So yeah, thank you so much everyone who has been supporting us so far. If you've got any more questions, feel free. There's not much else to update you on, to be fair, but like I said, if anyone listening here would be interested in coming onto the podcast and having a conversation, that would be incredible. Private message me after this and I'll give you the details on some of the things that we'll be talking about and whether you'd feel confident enough to go over that. If you've just joined as well, we are looking at doing some women-only challenges, female challenges, to get other people involved and keep it as inclusive as possible. So that's fantastic. Chris, thank you for joining in, mate. We will speak soon, buddy. And you'll be on the next challenge, I'm sure. I'll rope you into it anyway, somehow. So yeah. Oh, Izzy, you're signed up. All right, that's what I like to hear. Don't worry, your name will be on the list straight away. We've got a question coming in. Would I do mixed challenges? Yes, 100%. It is also something that I have looked at going forward. It's something that I think is really important. Just getting a group of people together to have these tough conversations. When I was on the Still Parents podcast with the Lily May Foundation, I said that it's not just about coming to talk to me for support, but building a network of people who you can rely on. And that's what I want Impactivity to be. I want it to be a family as such. So you don't necessarily have to come to me for support, but someone that you may connect with will hopefully be at one of these challenges. For now, I really want there to be separate things just because of the conversations we've had on the male one so far. And that's why I want to do a women's one. But the likelihood is that the Hadrian's Wall challenge will be a joint challenge. So it is definitely something we're looking forward to. It's just working out the logistics of that. So yeah, that's incredible. But thank you for your question. I really appreciate it. Emma, hello, how are you? Good evening. If you've just joined, feel free to fire away with a question. I'll give you some more updates at the end. Next question. Would you create a challenge that targeted age groups? Yeah, of course. Like I said, I want Impactivity to be an inclusive company. So I'm not going to restrict it to teenagers, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. Obviously, the challenges would have to be adapted to each person's individual needs. But there is definitely scope for doing challenges for all age groups. If the demand's there, I would create the program for it and the challenge or the workshop for it. I think as a younger generation, we're a lot more open with our problems. Whereas you talk to older people, they're a little bit more reluctant to talk about things like that. And that is something I'd love to spread the message with there. Hey, Emma. So, yeah, that's what I want to do. So definitely it's open for all age groups and I want to be inclusive to everybody. So, yeah, if you've just joined, feel free to fire away with a question. If you've also just joined and you've missed some of the information, we are about to start recording our podcast, which is really exciting. And we are looking at opening women's only challenges. So very busy right now at Impactivity, but it is exciting times, that's for sure. And it's great to have everyone involved and everyone looking at supporting the charity so far. So yeah, once again, thank you to everybody. We'll wait and see if there's a couple more questions. If not, I will probably end up shooting off in a minute. Doing some more work. But yeah, no, it's been fantastic hearing some of your thoughts and hearing some of your questions. And it's good to know that some of my ideas for programs people want to do. So I've been toying with the idea of the female only challenges for a while. And knowing that there will be that demand for that is something that I definitely want to look into going forward. And hopefully get a few ideas for that going forward as well. So if you have any ideas, like I said, feel free to direct message me or email me, or if you've got my number, text me, and we'll definitely have a conversation about that. If there's no more questions, please keep an eye out on social media. A few days before I record the podcast with Sophie, from Sophie's Stories, I will put a Q&A up on the Instagram story. So if you have any questions for her and her perspective of dealing with mental health and how she works with her creative therapy and how that promotes positive mental health, please feel free to send those questions in. I'm sure she will be happy to answer them. Like I said, if you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, go on, let's go for it. Let's have those conversations, and yeah, just keep it positive. We have one more question that's just come in, so let's get that on the go. Would I look at creating social gatherings for people to get together and maybe share their story? So basically that is how our mental health workshop works, the Everybody Can Talk campaign. So essentially, I will do some interactive activities. I will also tell my story. So if you haven't heard my story, you can check out the Still Parents podcast, season 2, episode 6. Great plug there. And listen to my story on there. During the workshop, I go into a bit more detail because obviously I've got a bit more time with people. And then I open the floor. I feel like it is very tough for someone to stand up in a room full of strangers or whatever and tell their story. So I don't expect that, and I would never ever put pressure on somebody for doing that. However, if we're in the right situation and someone feels comfortable, it is something I would encourage, purely because it is one of the bravest and most courageous things you can do. And if someone wanted to talk to me, either alone or with a couple of friends, I'd be more than happy to listen to them. So it's not something where I'd have people sitting in a circle telling their stories, because I don't want to operate like that. But it's definitely something where I'm very open to listening to people's stories. And I think that's why the podcast is going to be so important, because it's going to give people a voice, and it's also hopefully going to answer questions for people going forward. So yeah, that's something that I want to look at going forward. So less of a pressurized situation, if that makes sense. But yeah, thank you for your question. I really appreciate it. If that's it, if there's no more questions going forward, I'm probably going to head off in a minute. If you've got any last minute questions, feel free to fire away right now. But yeah, if you are interested in being part of a podcast, or you want a workshop at your workplace, or yeah, just anything, if you need anything, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me on Instagram, on Facebook, on email or text. I'm always there. And yeah, I hope everyone's enjoyed this evening. It's something a little bit different, and hopefully going forward, it's something that we can do on a more regular basis and keep growing the audiences up. Thank you, Ben. Thank you. Keep up the Q&As. Yeah, if this is what people want, I definitely do more of them, more lives. Hopefully I'd be able to get a couple of guests on as well. I think that would be really cool. So yeah, keep the feedback coming. You know, I'm always learning. Still a relatively new job. So yeah, keep that feedback coming. I really, really appreciate it. But until then, I thank you for everyone for joining in. If you do have any more questions, you know, feel free to fire them away. And if I can't answer them right now, I'll answer them privately. But yeah, it's everything's going great at Impactivity. Currently in the Impactivity office. So yeah, I can't say how much I appreciate the support from everyone. I'm eternally grateful to you all over the last few months. So keep up the feedback. I learn from it, and you know, it's really exciting to know that people are so interested in our programs. And like I said, I will keep up these Q&As if it's what people want. And yeah, remember to get your questions in for Sophie, ready for the podcast on the 12th of November. Hopefully that'll be released later that evening. We've got an early start for that podcast, so that's really exciting. You'll have to bear with my editing skills. You know, we're not going top class, but it will be good, I promise you. That will also be on our YouTube channel. So if you want to go over to YouTube as well, like and subscribe our YouTube page, you'll actually be able to get the live video and the live stream unedited of our chat. So that would be fantastic. But yeah, until then, everybody stay safe, stay positive, and if you need anything, like I said, please feel free to get in touch. I will speak to you all soon. Thank you. Goodbye.